Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bertani.
Here.
Councilmember Moy.
Here.
Councilmember Panduro.
Here.
Councilmember Tim.
Here.
Councilmember Tonneson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro is absent. Mayor Price.
Here, we do have a quorum. And the invocation this evening will be led by Worship Pastor Karen Stettins from St. Mark's Lutheran Church. Pastor, if you would, please.
Good evening. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, the most merciful and compassionate, we thank you for creation and the life you have given us. Together, we, your people of diverse religions, spiritual expressions, and indigenous traditions, we invoke you by different names, and we humbly pray that you will give us the opportunity to encounter each other through dialogue, to reach mutual respect and reciprocal acceptance of each other, and to break down the walls of division that stand at the center of most misunderstandings and conflicts. Make us instruments of your light and your love and your peace. Guide us and our elected leaders in your path, that all may be a source of hope to everyone in this community and way beyond, that we may discover your light and your love in and around each other. Show us the way to harmony and unity. Give us wisdom to discern the truth and freely choose what is right and just to make this world a better place to live in. Together, we ask you for the wisdom and the courage to fulfill your will for your people on this day. Amen.
Amen. And Councilwoman Bertani, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag,
Join me
please?
in saluting our flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we turn now to council reports, please. Councilmember Bertani, would you like to begin, please?
Good evening, everyone. It is good to see you all here. The meetings are always better when this house is packed. So it's very, very good to see you all. I will be just very brief and say that the Clergy Action Network, or Fairfield CAN, of which Pastor Stettins is a very active member on the core team for planning the Juneteenth event that we had a couple of weeks ago. We are going to be joining forces again with the Solano County Black Chamber of Commerce and having a movie night in the park down there on the county lawn. That's going to happen in September. There's more to come in terms of planning, but since Pastor Karen is in the house, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your work on the Fairfield Clergy Action Network. Having Pastor Karen is like having 3 people in one. She's amazing. But that doesn't mean to go call her up and ask her to do stuff. Sorry about that. That is my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Boyd, please, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is good to see all you. Hello, neighbors. Tonight I wanted to just talk about 2 things briefly. One is I went to with the ranger, our ranger, and went up to Rockville Hills Park and surveyed the area. And a lot of our trees are dying up there, the oaks, and because of the drought. And I thought, is that just because they can't get water? She goes, it's just not that simple. What it is, yes, they cannot get water. They don't have water, and usually they'd be okay. But they can't fight diseases without water. So different diseases are getting a lot of the oak trees out there. And we have one tree crew, and they were up there that day. And in the whole city, we have one tree crew. And I think that's something that we're gonna need to look at down the line. But it's obviously fuel for fire up there. And that's what I was looking for, was what's going on. She's doing the best that she can, the ranger is. And we're having a lot more people do outrageous things up there and hurting themselves. And it's a real, it's a great place to go. But I want people to understand that it's taken a licking with this drought. And so it was really kind of sad to see a lot of the trees. I've been going up there since I was a kid, but this is the first time I've seen it like this. So I just wanted to let people know that. And to make sure that when you're up there, to stay on the trails, don't blaze new trails. That's how we start fires. There's a reason why the existing trails are there. They do their best to keep those up and safe. So, and if you go off trail, it's like going off trail skiing, you could get lost and hurt somewhere, and then we don't know. So, and then the second thing is I wanted to say that I've read through the grand jury report that came out on issues with homeless services, not our city, but in the whole county. And so I believe that we should do what the grand jury asked, and that is to do a forensic audit to see where we're spending our money, our return on investment, all of those things. We owe it to you because we vote for these things, and we need to make sure that we are showing true fidelity to your money. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask you to put it on an agenda so that we can talk about it.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
For forensic audit?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Councilman
All right.
Tim, please.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to jump into this already, but I think the grand jury called for the county to pay for the forensic audit. Didn't say Fairfield. Am I correct? I'm correct.
Okay, look,
So I don't want to,
he's always right. Ask him.
and I'm certainly not against a forensic audit, but if it's the county grand jury and they direct the county to do it, I don't want to use our taxpayer dollars to do something the grand jury has asked for. So that's why I was a little hesitant if you want a second, or if you want to put it on, and you can
I
confirm
want
what
I want it on an agenda so we can talk about it to see who should be doing it. You know, we have the 2x2 meeting, of course, which is coming up this next week too, and I hope they'll be talking about it. But I think because we as a council voted to give the contract to Shelter Solano. We did that. We and the county are in this together. So I think we both need to agree on it. So I'm just asking for us to talk about it in public so the public can hear more than we can say right now.
Well, let me ask for a point of clarification on what I'm seconding. Are you asking for a second on putting this matter on the agenda to discuss it? Or
Yes.
are you just to discuss it and
Yes.
not to approve a forensic audit?
Correct.
I second it.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine.
We don't need a vote on that, Mayor. We'll agendize that at a future meeting and bring that for discussion and direction.
Councilwoman Panduro, your report, please.
The room's so full, I didn't hear him. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. It's really great to see so many faces. Just two quick things. As some of you may or may not know, we are in the middle of our summer concert series. So we're having live free music in our parks and in downtown every on Friday nights. The schedule is on the website and on Facebook and all that. But last week, I have to give a shout out to Mr. Jeff Traeger in the back for helping us organize the bringing in live bands. And last Friday, we were over at Dover Park. And I know what many of you are thinking. Why Dover Park? Well, it's a beautiful park, and I'm trying to bring more positive things out to that neighborhood and that side of town. And so if anybody did attend or saw pictures, we had a great turnout. And I was so happy to see so many families and so many neighbors out there enjoying live music on a beautiful Friday evening. So it's really great that we're doing these series. I really hope to see more of you out there, as well as my colleagues. I invite them as well to come out and meet neighbors. I got to meet some fabulous people that have lived there in that area their entire lives, and they came and they were just so grateful that we were doing something with that was family-oriented and positive out at that park. The second thing I wanted to bring up is, I know if you're familiar with North Texas, we all know that Food Max closed and left a vacancy in that large building, and I know there was a lot of concern with what's going to go there. So I'm happy to report that myself, Councilmember Tonneson, and Tim today met with the CEO, CFO of Food for Less. So they will be coming in as a new tenant, hopefully in 2023, and they will be adding in about $8 million in tenant improvements. They are employee-owned. They will be hiring locally, and so just really excited. I wanted to share that news with all of you. So know that Food for Less is coming to where Food Max used to be over there on North Texas in that plaza. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Tim, please, your report.
No, I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. You can see we've already started off to a roll, and air conditioning. You'd be my bestest friend if you could lower it. It's anyway, yeah, lower the temperature. But anyway, I'll pass. We've got a full agenda, Mayor, but thank you so much for showing up.
Councilman Tonneson, your report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. So Doris and I went to lunch today, and we swang by City Hall, and we were going back to the office, and we saw smoke. So we followed it, and there was a house fire on Garfield. But we got there right when it started, and got to see the firemen work, and got to see how they set everything up, how they closed down roads, and it was amazing. I mean, the teamwork where all of fire and police and all of the other organizations all came together. It was fantastic to see, and thank you, Mr. Herrick and Mr. Matt. I learned a lot. They really told us what was going on. We got to see it. So that was quite an experience. The other thing I want to talk about is the downtown. If any of you have driven through the downtown, you're seeing a lot of changes there. We said the changes were coming 40 years ago, but they're here. So the downtown is changing, and we're trying to bring businesses down there. And for those of you that haven't been downtown, we've taken out all the stoplights. They're all stop signs now. We've put in bike lanes. The bike lanes show up really good. They're bright green. There's a bunch of other improvements going on down there. Certainly facade improvements. If you get down there, you'll see that it's starting to look really nice. And then the last thing, Mayor, is the pickleball courts are coming along really well. So what we did, for those of you that don't know, is at Allen Witt, we're resurfacing tennis courts and pickleball courts. And my pickleball friends blow up my text, but because they're all excited. So we're going to have 16 pickleball courts down there. We're going to be able to have some very large tournaments and bring a lot of people to the downtown. So that's all for me, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And I should like to report that American Legion Baseball is back in the city of Fairfield, Laurel Creek Park. If you have an opportunity, go out there and see what those young gentlemen are doing. And they are representing the city of Fairfield, Northern California, exceedingly well. Should also like to report that there will be a change of command at Travis Air Force Base next week. And that'll be a very smooth transition. And for whatever reasons, I think that the Defense Department, particularly the United States Air Force, does a really fine job sending top quality commanders to serve us and our nation here at Travis Air Force Base. So we look forward, and most of us will be out there next week participating in part of that ceremony. So thank you, colleagues, for doing that. Mr. City Manager, your report, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just two quick items that I'll report on. The first is that the city, starting July 1, has undertaken a transition that's been 2 years in the making, and that's that we are updating our ERP system, which is our Enterprise Resource Program. So that's all of our financial systems, all of our backing, and what that really does is brings us into, I'll say, the 21st century in terms of streamlining workflows and processes and really freeing up some staff time internally within the organization. And the unsung heroes in that process have definitely been our IT and finance staff over the July 4th weekend and the week leading up to that and the week after that. They were working practically around the clock to make sure that that was as smooth a transition as it could have been. And so there's more to come on that over the next year as we continue to transition modules and really update our systems into very modern, streamlined, and sleek programming that'll make a big difference for the city's overall program management. And the second item, which is also goes along the lines of the ERP, I'm very happy to introduce our new finance director, John Furtado. And the reason I sort of link those together is John has also been in two other agencies where he assisted in implementing into this same exact ERP system that we have acquired and are in the process of transitioning. So we're very fortunate to have his skills. John's got a master's degree in finance. He's got many certifications. He's a certified management accountant, a chartered financial analyst, which is an incredibly challenging certification to get. He's a CPA, really a wealth of knowledge, and I'd like to bring John up right now so that he could say a couple words and introduce himself to the City Council and to our residents.
Good evening, Mayor Price, council members. I'm really pleased to be here, work with our team Fairfield, looking forward to council priorities and goals, and to serve the community as well with professionalism and integrity. And thank you, City Manager, for selecting me to lead a very good finance team, I must say.
And that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
And our city attorney is with family tonight, so he won't be with us, but we're very fortunate to have one of his colleagues here. Lori, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council met in closed session and has nothing to report.
Okay, thank you very much. And we turn now to Madam Clerk. Your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to let everyone know, a lot of you know, but the filing process for those running for mayor or city council opened yesterday. I met with 4 people yesterday, 4 today. Esther Beavers, our acting deputy city clerk, has been very helpful, and I appreciate her help. She also prepared the binders for all the candidates. We have 3 council seats open, districts 1, 3, and 5, and also the mayor's seat. The filing period closes August 12th. Unless an incumbent does not run, then they get 5 extra days, so the closing date will be August 17th. And of course, the election is on November 8th. So be sure to vote. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
And we turn now to presentations. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Yes, presentation 1, and this is the most fun one of the whole year, the 4th of July Parade Awards. And our presenter is our Director of Parks and Recreation, Christina Chamberlain, and our Events Coordinator, Andrea Azurdia, correct? Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and council members. So I am going to actually turn it over to Andrea so she can do the announcements, but we had a phenomenal Independence Day parade, one of the biggest ever, as I'm hearing from the community and those that participated. So without further ado, here we go.
All right, so I'm just going to announce the winners. I think we have quite a few here tonight, so that's great. So I'm just going to work our way down in the categories. So for the band category, we have B Sharp Academy as our first place winner. And it's $150 for each category, so congratulations. And then for commercial, we have Republic Services. So if you guys were out there, they had one of their trucks decorated in red, white, and blue. So they are the winner of the commercial category for $150. I don't think they're here tonight, so we will get them theirs. And then our equestrian category was El Rancho Centenario. And then for our military category, we had the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and that's Post 2333 and Auxiliary. And for our novelty category, we had American Armory Museum. They brought out a plethora of tanks and trucks and a lot of fun stuff this year. I don't think Jeff is here. Right. For vehicle, we had a new car club come this year, and that's Chalou. They had a whole bunch of lowriders, so they were the winner this year, and by far a crowd favorite. So I think they're coming. Yeah, I thought they were here.
I know, I think I gave
Chalou, come on in.
I think I gave that other person.
What's that? Congratulations.
Spread them out, spread them out.
Y'all made it to her campaign 4 more years. That's right, shameless plug.
You got right here, right here. Ready, and 1, 2, 3.
For our walking group, we had Guru Nanak Sikh Temple, so they were our winners for walking. And I don't think they're here tonight, but that's okay. And then we have our two bigger categories. So we have sweepstakes and best use of theme. So best use of theme goes to B Sharp Academy again. Congratulations. And that one is a $250 prize money. Oh.
Congratulations.
And then our last one is sweepstakes, which is the highest scoring entry out of the entire parade, and that is Chapkiss Dance. Yes. I don't think so. Yep, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, ladies. Our next presentation, Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Yes, our next presentation is the Fairfield 101 Civic Academy graduation, and our presenter is Esther Beavers, again, our acting Deputy City Clerk.
Oh, that's okay. I don't have my hat. That was a virtual hat. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Esther Beavers, and I'm the City Manager's Office Assistant / Acting Deputy City Clerk. And I thank you for having me here tonight. I'm especially excited to talk about Fairfield 101 Civic Academy and recognize our graduating class. The Fairfield 101 Civic Academy Spring 2022 class began in May and was completed on July 6, 2022. And to those of you who don't know what the Fairfield Civic Academy is, it is a 10-week interactive program designed to share how local government works. It gives staff members first-hand exposure to the inside of city departments and a chance to discuss current issues with community leaders. This program gives city staff an opportunity to gain insights on how to become more involved at local government level. Each 2.5-hour session is dedicated to learning the ins and outs of each city department, and classes are interactive, and participants get to meet city leaders, take tours, visit various city facilities, and learn about different programs. I would like to thank all the staff who dedicated their time, energy, and skill to this program. We are very fortunate to have leaders that go above and beyond to share the great work that we do. And now I want to recognize our Fairfield 101 Civic Academy class of spring 2022. I will read your names, so please come up and pick up your certificates. Forgive me if I pronounce any of your names. I think I know most of them, though. So my first graduate is Ron Bremer. And then our next person is Sherry Danielson. And then Victor Daniel. I don't know if you can make it tonight. And then after Victor is Ashley Doyle. And then Anjali Duchausse. Cindy Garcia. I'm not sure. There. Okay. Cindy's busy. Okay, hopefully I pronounced this one. Jorge Gocochia. Anna Guile. Jesse Hernandez. Anita Hortwath. Brian Liu. Lysel Marin. Lydia Park. Vern Saturn. Rhea Sherman. Tiffany Simney. Megan Sosa. And finally, Yilin Wong, who's not here, but she will get it later. So congratulations, everyone.
Maybe they could all pose in the well so we can get a photo.
Oh yeah, whoops, sorry. Andrew Perez and Jeff Bertani. Sorry. People that, because you missed more than 2 classes, you have some kids. Sorry. You are a participant. Sorry.
Well done, team.
Esther, we need you in there.
You guys ready? Where's Esther? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
And I just wanted to add, we are planning to have a Fairfield 101 for Fairfield residents this fall. It's going to start September 7th. And I do have applications if anybody want to see me to grab one. I will also leave some out at the lobby. It's also available on the website. So if you fill out application, you can join us in the fall session and learn all about city government. So thank you.
Thank you. And our next presentation, Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Yes, our third presentation is MCE Program Implementation Follow-Up presented by Sebastian Kahn of MCE and Corey Beavers, our Management Analyst from Public Works.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Corey Beavers, and I work for the Public Works Department. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I am joined this evening with Sebastian Kahn and Alexandra McGee with MCE. Since MCE last presented at City Council, MCE has become the default electric service provider for Fairfield residents and businesses. Tonight's presentation will briefly recap the results of the community enrollment process, ways that MCE continues to support the city, and our continued efforts to have Fairfield go green. Without further ado, please welcome Sebastian and Alexandra.
All right, thank you, Corey, and thank you, members of the City Council, Madam Clerk, Mr. Mayor. My name is Sebastian Kahn, and I serve as Community Development Manager with MCE as part of our Public Affairs Department. The last time that I presented to your City Council was on March 15th, and at that point in time, we were kicking off the process of our community outreach plan to educate and inform residents and businesses about the transition to MCE service. And I'm proud to say that through partnership with the City Council and dedicated city staff, the Fairfield community now has more access to renewable, locally controlled electricity service. I'm here this evening, as Corey mentioned, to recap MCE's enrollment activities, including outreach and engagement efforts, marketing, and community programming over the past several months. And before diving into the presentation this evening, I want to acknowledge that part of our mission at MCE is to create more equitable communities. And with that in mind, the need to reach customers in language that is inclusive and accessible to them cannot be overstated. So with that, I want to turn over things to my colleague Alexandra McGee, who's on Zoom tonight and is going to read us 2 slides for our Spanish-speaking audience.
Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Me pueden escuchar? A thumbs up, or can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Sorry, coming in via Zoom. Can we go to the next slide, please? Wonderful, thank you so much. So, mi nombre es Alejandra, trabajo con MCE, estoy aquí para presentar un poco de materia en español. Vamos a hacer todo esto, tenemos una información que puedo compartir con ustedes esta tarde, esta noche, pero también vamos a tener la misma información en inglés. So, por favor, dame un minuto. El resumen de nuestra primera involucración con tu comunidad en Fairfield. Estos son los puntos claves de los datos de inscripción. Nuestra tasa de retención ha sido casi el 90%, entonces eso significa que el 89,7% de la población han elegido quedarse con los servicios de MCE. Eso significa que ese 90%, casi 90%, va a recibir su energía de fuentes más renovables, 60% renovable y hasta tienen opciones de 100%. Y vamos a hablar de eso en unos minutos con mi colega Sebastián. Eso representa 33.500 cuentas inscritas. Y si tienes el interés, eso significa casi 30.000 fuentes residenciales, cuentas residenciales, y 3,6 no residenciales. Pueden ser negocios, iglesias, cualquier lugar que no sea hogar son las cuentas no residenciales. Una cantidad bastante grande, un 29% de esas cuentas son escritos en el programa de CARE. Significa que pueden recibir un descuento en su energía, en su factura mensual. 7% de esas cuentas son escritas en el programa de Medical Baseline. Eso significa que en un hogar que tienen equipo médico que requiere energía, y por eso hay un programa para bajar la factura eléctrica, porque no es la culpa de alguien si tiene un equipo eléctrico para sus necesidades médicas. Y un 8% de las cuentas que hemos inscrito están recibiendo servicios adicionales por a través de MCE Cares, que son $10 mensuales para hogares que califican. Y además que eso, hay 100 clientes residenciales que optaron para la energía 100% renovable. Significa que esos residenciales tienen un centavo por kilovatio más que pagan, pero reciben 100% de su energía de fuentes renovables. ¿Podemos ir a la próxima? Can we go to the next slide, please? Y esta es mi la segunda información. Si usted tiene alguna pregunta sobre su factura eléctrica, sobre las fuentes energéticas que proveemos por Fairfield, usted puede mandarnos un email. Tienes la información aquí. Puede ser info@mcecleanenergy.org o puedes llamarnos. Si prefieres llamarnos por teléfono, nuestro número de teléfono es el 888-632-3674. y podemos contestar tus preguntas sobre su factura eléctrica. Y si usted es miembro de la comunidad y quiere que nosotros vengamos a hablar con tu, puede ser tu iglesia, puede ser tu grupo, si quieren como recibir una presentación como esta, también estamos dispuestos para venir a hacer otra presentación. Y hay otra forma de involucrarse con nosotros, mandándonos un email a través de engagement@mcecleanenergy.org. Y hay la información en nuestro sitio web y está listo en esta página también. Muchas gracias por tu atención. Ahora vamos a cambiar al inglés con mi colega Sebastián. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks so much, Alexandra. All right. So I wanted to quickly recap our enrollment timeline for this calendar year leading up to April, which is when folks enrolled in MCE service. As a reminder, the City of Fairfield voted to join MCE in December of 2019, and this is the process that we took this year to enroll the community. So on February 15th, MCE presented to the City Council. At that time, you all were still in a virtual setting. And at that presentation, we discussed what residents and businesses would expect to see from MCE over the next several months. Between February and April, MCE sent 4 notices to every eligible PG&E customer in Fairfield, notifying them of the April MCE enrollment date, resources on how to get in touch with MCE, and information regarding how to opt out of MCE service if they choose to do so. Between March and April, MCE held 6 separate online public workshops where residents could learn more about MCE and ask questions of staff in real time. These workshops were advertised on the aforementioned notice materials, social media, and through the City of Fairfield's communication channels, including the city's MCE webpage, Facebook, and Twitter accounts. The presentations were recorded and live on MCE's website, and we did also record a full Spanish version of the presentation too, if folks are curious and want to check that out. In March, we held a presentation specifically for commercial customers and partnered with the Fairfield Sassoon Chamber and the Solano Hispanic Chamber to do that. So really grateful for their partnership. Great folks to work with that we've partnered with along this process. And also not mentioned here, but we did present in person at the March 15th Fairfield City Council meeting in advance of folks enrolling in April. And last but not least, in April, MCE became the default electric service provider for Fairfield residents and businesses. So just to do a quick recap of the results of the enrollment process, you had 89.7% of all eligible customers remain with MCE and 10.3% opted out. And that 89.7% percentage is higher than what we typically see from MCE member communities. The average across all of our communities in Solano County is at about 85%, so you're quite a bit above that, which is great. And additionally, MCE now serves roughly 33,500 customer accounts within the city of Fairfield. 29.5 thousand of those are residential, and just over 3,500 are non-residential accounts. And a little bit more about the makeup of these customers. 29% are enrolled in PG&E Care, which is a income qualified program administered by PG&E. And if you are an MCE customer, you're still able to take advantage of those care benefits that you would receive otherwise. 7% of our Fairfield customers are on medical baseline, which is an assistance program for residential customers who depend on power for certain medical needs. And 8% of Fairfield customers are participating in MCE Care's credit program, which is a $10 monthly bill credit made available by MCE for income qualified customers. And lastly, about 100 residential customers have opted up to Deep Green, which is our 100% renewable option. So a little bit more about marketing and advertising and how we got the word out to the community. Between February and May, MCE ran a comprehensive marketing and advertising campaign to support outreach for the Fairfield enrollment. On social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, we had 526,000 impressions. And for anyone that may be unfamiliar with that terminology, impressions refers to the number of times that MCE's content showed up in a user's newsfeed. Impressions are defined by the total number of people your content is visible to, so proud of that number. Similarly, and a bit of a larger number here. Between February and May, we had 6.9 million display and video impressions. Display ads essentially are digital ads on websites as opposed to social media. For example, if you were to read the online version of the Daily Republic and saw a banner ad for MCE or an ad throughout the article, that's considered a display ad. And so online, there were 6.9 million impressions during the enrollment period. Our English webpage, which we created specifically for Fairfield, for folks to learn more about MCE and how they can reach out to us, had 11,000 page views, and our Spanish webpage, specifically for Fairfield residents, had about 610. In terms of paid search, this refers to the ad space that shows up on a search engine like Google. When MCE ads were displayed, those received an 18% click-through rate, which means that folks ultimately ended up visiting the MCE website. And in terms of print media, we ran 4 Sunday edition ads in the print version of the Daily Republic, which netted an approximate 113,000 total impressions. So quite a large advertising reach, I would say. In terms of some of the... Sure.
If that was in the print edition, how did it get impressions? Do you mean it also ran online?
No, so that's an estimated version, that 113,000 for the print, and that's just based on the number of newspapers that are being distributed for each of those 4 advertisements.
Okay,
thank you. So in the community, I wanted to highlight a few events that MCE's participated in the past couple of months here. First, on the left, we were excited to table and pass out informational materials at the first annual Blues, Brews, and Barbecue Festival. If you're wondering, yes, that's me in the picture. Enjoyed some good brisket that day, so great event. Hope it happens next year. And on the right was a recent event. It's the EV Road Trip, which is where a team of electric vehicle advocates actually drove across the country from Fairfield, Connecticut to Fairfield, California in this new Mustang EV. And we were joined at that event by Mayor Price, as well as David Rentschler, who's the city's award-winning fleet manager. He recently was honored as the Public Sector Fleet Manager of the Year in 2022 at the Government Fleet Expo in Detroit. So congratulations to David on that. Some more community events here. On the left is just to give you an idea of some of the giveaway items we typically create and give away at events. Some of the buttons we used for our Fairfield-specific events said Green Solano, and Fairfield is green because of me. So we'll continue to pass out similar materials in the future. And on the right, I heard Dover Park mentioned earlier in the presentation today, and we were really proud to do a community event with Councilmember Pandoro at Dover Park back, I think it was the first weekend of June, along with Republic Services and some of the city's Public Works Department as well. So awesome, great to see that space activated. And then in terms of partner organizations, this is not an exhaustive list, but I just want to give a sense of the types of organizations we've met throughout this enrollment period. We're proud members of the Solano Hispanic Chamber, the Fairfield Sassoon Chamber, the Farm Bureau, the Solano Black Chamber, and the Solano Land Trust. And we're also developing a partnership with the nonprofit organization International Bird Rescue, which by its name does international work, but is based here in Fairfield. And they're the ones that are on like the Dawn soap commercials where they clean up the birds with oil. So environmentalism, shared mission of ours at MCE, really excited to work with them. And we're always looking to build new relationships with community groups too, and we look forward to identifying new partnership opportunities with organizations based in Fairfield. And wrapping up here, last but not least, I do want to highlight the fact that the relationship between MCE and Fairfield is a partnership. As an active member community with MCE, there's a number of rebates and incentives that your municipal facilities and the larger community can take advantage of. In the state of California, we've made great strides to reduce carbon emissions from the electric grid as more and more renewables are put online. And now, to meet and exceed our greenhouse gas emission goals, we need to focus on ways that we can decarbonize the transportation sector and building sector in a way that's not cost prohibitive. I've highlighted a few programs here that are available to Fairfield through MCE that aim to do just that. So we offer energy efficiency programming, and through that, we've served about 1,200 customers and administered about $2.4 million in rebates. We offer up to $43,075 for each new electric port in our service area for folks that want to install EV charging infrastructure. We offer monthly bill credits for customers that have installed battery storage and $1,000 rebates for contractors that are installing electric heat pump water heaters. And last but not least, we offer a suite of bill relief and bill assistance programs for some of our most vulnerable customers. And as we transition from the formal enrollment period, which we just wrapped up, we want to continue to work with the city on innovative programming, and we'd welcome the opportunity to meet with staff to discuss the suite of rebates and incentives that are available to Fairfield. Last but not least, there's a number of different ways for the public to get in touch with MCE. For general questions, customers can either email info@mcecleanenergy.org, which is monitored by our in-house customer care team, or call the number listed here to be connected with a member of our local call center. Additionally, if customers have requests for community presentations and programming, they can reach out to engagement@mcecleanenergy.org, which I help manage, so you'd be emailing me. So a familiar face there. And that's that. I really did want to thank you for the opportunity to work with your community over the past several months, and I did just want to give a quick couple of shout outs to some individuals. First and foremost, Councilmember Panduro and Councilmember Tonneson for serving on MCE's board. Just your engagement and enthusiasm throughout the past several months has been really great, and we look forward to working with you moving forward. And as far as staff goes, Corey Beavers in the Public Works Department was really just an incredible resource to work with. So huge shout out to Corey. We really couldn't have done this without his help and support. Bill Way, the busiest man in the room, taking photos of everybody tonight. Awesome PIO, really helped us spread the word, and we were appreciative of that. And last but not least, Michael Heather in the Public Works Department, who coordinated the whole process and helped us get up and running. So thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
Oh, excuse me, I had one slide left from Corey that I neglected.
Sebastian, I'm just going to say thank you as well. Really appreciate the partnership. And if you have any questions, Sebastian and I are here to answer. And thank you, Alexandra, for your presentation in Spanish as well.
Councilwoman Bertani, please.
Thank you. Thank you for a great report. So I have had some Paradise Valley residents reach out to me with two concerns. They are solar-powered residents. And I met with some recently who actually showed me their energy bills. So their bills have increased like fourfold since being with MCE. And I've been told that one of the concerns is that their bills are up and their solar power is being harvested by MCE. Is that true?
So it's difficult to share what the issue might be without taking a look at those specific bills. We're happy to connect with them and see what might be, why the bill has gone up. But in terms of your harvesting question, so the framework by which customers participate in solar and interacting with the grid is through a tariff called net energy metering. And so any excess solar that those customers generate on their panels that's not being used to power their homes is exported back to the grid. That's the same way that it works with PG&E as well. And at their true update, there's a compensation piece where MCE and PG&E both would credit them for that excess solar.
So these residents are having their solar power harvested without their authorization?
It would be authorized. They'd be part of the net energy metering tariff, which PG&E and MCE both have.
So I was told, okay, so we may need to have some more conversations then, because there's confusion in the community with our solar-powered residents, and their bills have they've just quadrupled. And with PG&E, PG&E would provide them with a credit for the excess solar power that wasn't being used to power their homes, and MCE has not provided any credit whatsoever. So that's an issue that we really need to have clarified for these residents. And then number two, I've been told, because these people want to opt out. They're like, there's no way I'm paying a bill this high when I don't have to. So the second issue raised was the opt-out time frame. They're being told that they have to wait for, 60, 90-day billing cycles before they can opt out. And that was never my understanding of how the opt-out process should work. If people want out, they need to be opted out. And so I'm very concerned about both of those issues, not trying to put you on the spot, but just want to say for the folks who have reached out to me, and I saw the bills. I mean, these are real bills. One resident showed me a bill where before MCE, his bill with solar energy was like $8, and now it's $400. That is absolutely, we have to figure that out.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm happy to take a look at those customers' bills. I did want to address some of the issues you brought up with the true-up and the compensation, the credit that you described. So MCE's crediting is on a yearly basis that takes place in the spring. So those customers that have switched over to MCE would see that excess solar generation credit in March or April. Whereas with PG&E...
One time a year?
Correct. And it's a lump sum payment.
But let me suggest, though, that if their bills have gone from $10 to $400, I would think at least MCE would be able to credit these people for their bills on a monthly basis to help them pay the bills that have gone up by $500 a month.
Yeah, and
like PG&E did.
And Councilmember, I appreciate that, and I think that we'll connect with these customers.
And please connect with me too.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And I think on the charges that these customers might be experiencing, it could be because it's a hot summer month, and particularly hot here in Solano County. And with that, folks are, running air conditioners and using an excess of demand in their home. So that could be an issue. I'm not totally sure without looking at the bill.
Yeah, so he answered that because I brought that up to him, and he said, I'm not comparing apples to oranges. This is my bill in July of, 2019 or 2021, and here it is in 2022. So it's the same months, similar usage in place. So I just wanted to put those concerns on the record.
Yeah.
Before my colleagues, and so that we can figure this out. And then what about the opt-out time frame?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's where the constituent heard about the 90-day opt-out period. That's not consistent with what.
Is it 60 days?
Well, for NEM customers, when they're enrolled, they would have 60 days to opt out post their NEM enrollment for free back to PG&E. So the 90 days is new information to me. Happy to address that with the customer and yourself. I would like to learn more about where that information came from.
So let me just a point of clarification. This is not about how much time they have to opt out. This is about the resident calling MCE saying, I want to opt out. And MCE saying, okay, you can opt out, but it's going to take 60 days. In other words, you have to continue to utilize MCE before we let you out of the system. Is that correct?
I don't think that's the case. I do want to follow up with our customer care team and get a definitive answer.
Fair enough.
I did want to address also that part of the reason, in addition to the AC, could be a reason, but PG&E did raise their transmission and distribution rates earlier this year, and that could be a reason that the bills have gone up in the past several months. That's typical for people that are not even a CCA, an MCE customer. That's across the state of California. So again, more than happy, Councilmember, to connect with you and the constituents and figure this out, what's going on.
We need to figure this out because it seems like their bills are going up and they're having a hard time getting out of it. And that's very concerning to me, so.
To me too.
Okay.
And that's not consistent with our customer experience. I think that folks, at our call center have had, as we've found it, a 95% success rate in resolving their issues with MCE based on surveys that we've collected after those calls. So I really do want to get to the bottom of that, and I'm more than happy to connect with those folks.
Okay, so I look forward to hearing back from you then on the crediting for harvesting people's solar energy and crediting whatever that amount is, not on an annual basis, but on a monthly basis to help people pay their bills. And then the whole opting out time frame in terms of, if I say I don't want to spend my money with you anymore, that I should have the right to make that decision today, I think, and not have to wait, 30, 60, however many cycles that it takes. So those are my constituents' concerns and mine as well.
Understood, and thank you for raising those issues. We'll
Thank you.
get them taken care of.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments, colleagues? Councilwoman Boyd, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Excuse me. Allergies. My question is, what is the process then? Somebody, if I want to opt out tomorrow, tell me how I do it.
Yeah, so we could cycle back to the slide here. But if you call that number, 1-888-632-3674, those are in-house customer care members with MCE. They will help you opt out.
And what's the process then?
They would opt you out. So
Immediately?
when the customer was enrolled in April, we established on the notification mailers that they had a 60-day window to opt out free of charge. For residential customers, if you wanted to call, or any member of the Fairfield community wanted to call, it would be a $5 administrative fee to return those customers to PG&E service. Once that happens, and it should happen that same day, they wouldn't be able to return to MCE for an entire year. Should they decide that, PG&E is more expensive, I liked MCE, whatever reason, if they change their mind, they would have a year of time before they could opt back into MCE.
Okay, thank you. So it would happen as soon as they paid the $5 then, and it would happen instantly then?
With their next monthly billing cycle, yeah. So the bill that they receive, say it's July now, they get their August bill, it would be back with PG&E.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. We turn now to the process for public comments. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Persons wishing to address the City Council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. The council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. If you're online to speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item. And I have 2 speaker cards for public comment. Oh, I have 3. Okay, our first speaker will be Jeff Traeger, followed by John Ekstrom.
Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council, at the Missouri Street Theater, at the Downtown Theater, has their Legally Blonde show running through the 31st. You can get your tickets at downtowntheater.com. And in August, we've got Adrian's Draguation, which is Fairfield's first drag show. Also, comedian Paula Poundstone and a night of comedy, stand-up comedy, which is a fundraiser for the Police Activities League. The Downtown Summer Series continues on the 29th, a week from Friday, at the lawn downtown with the very popular Papa Joe and the New Deal. And on the 20th of next month, we have Rosalind Pugh here from the Bee Academy from Fairfield, and her wonderful gospel R&B jazz group that's has blessed us many times, and this is going to be a great show. I want to thank again the city for their great the way that they have gotten the word out for our shows. We had a nice turnout at Dover Park. I want to thank the ducks and the geese for taking the night off. And I really want to thank Doris Pandora and for helping get the word out there, for showing up and making a beautiful speech to everybody and helping me clean up the place, which was very nice. So again, thank you again for the city and the way that they've gone about helping put on these this summer series, because it takes a while to catch on, but from talking to the people out there in the Dover Park District, they were so impressed the fact that the city took the effort to bring music to them in areas where it's a beautiful park. It's just great, and I'm just very happy, and again, thank you very much to the city of Fairfield and David. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And our next speaker will be John Ekstrom, followed by George Kennedy.
Good evening, Mayor Price, City Council. So first of all, I just wanted to thank the City of Fairfield and all of you up here for the relationships that we've had over the past several years at not only Shelter Solano, but also the other homeless services that we've provided. As you're more than aware, Shelter Solano serves more homeless than any other shelter within the county. And we are very much committed to continue doing that and providing the best possible homeless services within the county. I brought a report card tonight, and this report card covers from February 1st, 2019, when we began Shelter Solano, all the way up until the end of last month. So you can see the actual number of people that we have helped and served and housed along the way. In regards to the grand jury report, I won't speak to any specifics tonight, but there are a lot of misstatements in there that we hope to work with city staff to get corrected over time. And again, thank you for your partnership. We appreciate it.
John, I had a couple questions.
Certainly.
Are you audited on almost all the money you get? When you get grants and stuff?
We have 5 formal audits that get done every year. So we have 3 subsidiary corporations, one of which is Shelter Solano, Inc., and 2 others, plus Shelter, Inc. itself. And because of the amount of federal funds we receive, we have what's called an OMB Circular A-133 audit for federal funds. So yes, we're audited all the time with that. We also have specific contract audits. For instance, the state came down to audit us recently. These are regularly scheduled things that occur every several years. Every couple of years we get audited by HUD. They come through and look at everything we've done, and we have no findings.
And what percentage of money do you get directly from Fairfield, from our coffers? About?
Oh, percentage?
Or
I know overall, with the money that Fairfield's committed to homelessness, we get about 1/4 of it for Shelter Solano.
And then what is your yearly budget?
So the yearly budget for Shelter Solano, it's been growing as we've staffed up and taken in more people. I think when we started, we had 40 people in there, and we've been averaging in the 80s and 90s, and once our kitchen and dining hall are complete, we can get up to the 130 number.
And did you, when you took it over, it was ran down, did you do all the improvements?
There's lots of deferred maintenance that we've been doing as we continue on, as we get funding to do it. Most of the serious problems have been dealt with. We had water heater replacements, some very expensive items like that. Occasionally there's things that are out of service, but we get those fixed in a timely manner.
Thank you. I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, John.
And our next speaker is George Kennedy, to be followed by June Johnson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Councilman. I don't know why I got to touch that every time since it's broken. But George Kennedy, resident of Fairfield. I just wanted to come publicly tonight and thank you for the work that's going on at Allenwood Park with the resurfacing and the collaboration that the city and staff has put towards that. Everybody's excited. I know Councilman Tonneson talked about his phone getting blown up by pickleball players. I'm getting blown up with messages from all over the county, from people from Vallejo, Dixon, Vacaville, and of course Fairfield, excited to come down here and play and get some serious competition going. So thank you. We're looking forward to that starting in the next few weeks, and thank you, staff. And then the final thing I want to talk, and I apologize, Public Works, for not calling you earlier about this, but on Lopes Road, the new development that's being done, there's a dedicated left turn lane that, I'm not sure the vernacular, but a teardrop island, median island, was built there, and it kind of squeezes the lane with the bike lane and the extra little portion there. Several people have already hit that new teardrop, and it needs to be looked at, because if it's only been open for a couple weeks now and multiple people have hit that edge, before somebody seriously gets hurt and hitting that and crashing and causing something major, I think it needs to be looked at whether the striping needs to be done more so that there's a little bit larger lane, but the apex of the curve takes you right into that that median. So I hope we will look at that and solve that to save some stress from people, accidents. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is June Johnson. And then we have a couple hands raised online as well.
Good evening, all. As chair of Rolling Hills Neighborhood Network, I'm here to speak on behalf of my neighbors, to thank the Public Works staff for being so responsive. And I want to particularly acknowledge Gary Sponsler, Mike Gray, and Paul Koschel. Hope I didn't butcher his name. They have been very responsive, especially at our park where we've had major trash issues. At our request, they added additional trash cans over there, which has taken care of that problem. I've contacted them a number of times on immediate landscape issues, particularly when they become a safety hazard. I'm trying to be considerate of the lack of staff that they have, so I try not to call unless it's a real immediate issue. And they have been extremely responsive, and so I want to acknowledge them to all of you. I also just want to mention to you, Councilman Pandoro, I really appreciate the fact that you were doing things at Dover Park. Having lived in the city for 50 years, Dover Park used to be a very desirable park. And so I really appreciate that you're paying attention to that area, because I think it's so well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, June.
Thank you. Brian, do we have someone online that would like to speak?
Yes, we have Wilson Trong. Okay, Wilson, you're good?
Hey, everybody. My name is Wilson Trong. I'm here on behalf of the California Mortgage Relief Program, which is managed by the California Homeowner Relief Corporation, part of the California Housing Finance Authority. Sorry, it's a lot of organizations that we're representing. I just wanted to share some information and urge residents that there's a mortgage relief program providing up to $80,000 to eligible homeowners to pay up to 2 past due mortgage payments before June 2022. This is a new major change. Previously, December 2021 was the cutoff. Also, property tax now has been added, which covers one payment owed prior to May 2022. These are federal dollars being provided for homeowners while funding exists. Currently, $98 million has been distributed to 3,000 households with an average of $32,000. Just some income eligibility requirements. Single-family homes below the 150% area median income. We have more eligibility requirements at camortgagerelief.org. I will share more details to city council members via email and follow up for any support needed to get the word out. And hope you all can share this information out there. It's a very useful program. Again, it has $1 billion funded into it, and we are only at 1/10 the way there, and it exists until funding expires. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I believe we have one more speaker.
Next, we have Kay Patrice Williams.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and members of the public. My name is Kay Patrice Williams, and I am calling in to lift the efforts of the Parks and Rec Department for the 4th of July parade. I've been involved as a participant in quite a few parades throughout Solano County. And I tell you what, this parade this year was amazing. And it couldn't have been done without the efforts and great detail and great planning by Parks and Rec. In my day job, I do a lot of logistics, and to pull off an event like this, you really have to organize it almost in 15-minute increments. So the pre-planningness, the thoughtfulness of the parade off order, the maps, the on-the-ground support. They were easy to find. People on the ground level, the police officers that were guiding us around and making sure that we stayed safe. Dr. Francis McCullough, the Grand Marshal, just everything from end to end. Oh, and by the way, that thing was a lot of fun. And I've never seen, in my recent memory, so many people participating. So anyway, so I just wanted to call to say, and a job well done. I'm out of town today, but I just had to call in to say job well done to the Parks and Rec Department. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any other cards. Did anyone else want to make a public comment? And there are no other hands raised online.
So I will call to order now this meeting of the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District. Item number 4, please, Madam Clerk.
Item 4 is on consent. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the PVMMD or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item.
Been moved by Councilman Tim, seconded by Councilwoman Moy. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
And item 5, public hearing for PVMMD. Public hearing and resolution PVMMD 2022-04 of the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District Board approving the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget and ordering the levy of assessments for the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District. And our presenter is Ryan Panganiban, Assistant Director of Public Works and Engineering.
Good evening, Chair Price and members of the Paradise Valley Maintenance and Monitoring District. Ryan Panganiban, I am the district engineer. I prepared a brief presentation to cover tonight's action as staff has provided an in-depth review of the district budget and proposed levy at the July 5th board meeting. So as the board may recall, in the past year, staff with the help of NGO, our engineering consultant, took a look at the district reserve levels. Based on this updated analysis, the district has proposed to achieve the targeted reserve amount of approximately $1.5 million. So for this reason, staff is recommending an assessment that would fund administration, maintenance, and monitoring functions only for this fiscal year. The table here represents the various rates for the different development types within the district. One point of clarification, it's worth noting that there's a clerical error in the unit count shown on page 24 of the agenda report. However, this does not impact the proposed assessment levy, parcels being considered, and no adjustments are required to the proposed budget or action tonight. So that concludes my presentation, and by conducting the public hearing and adopting resolution PVMMD 2022-04, this completes the annual assessment levy process, thereby allowing the district to collect $72,574 in revenue for this fiscal year. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I also have Eric Harrell with NGO here to support any technical questions that the board may have.
And I do have one speaker card. Should I call? Okay. Dr. Mark Carmody.
Thank you, board, for your time. Everybody else in the Public Works Department got a shout out today, but not Ryan. So I want to give Ryan a shout out he's been very responsive to my phone calls and questions. So I want to thank you, Ryan. And in my discussions with Ryan, he brought up 2 criteria for these assessments. One was proximity to the hill, and the other one was square footage of the residences. And we've been through this before. Board Member Tim. It's upside down. And we're not even talking about reparations of those of us who have been there for 10 years, paying into, which is now $1.5 million reserve fund. So I think there's some work that needs to be done. Things are upside down. And as a slap in the face, 360 now is going to pay less than we are this next year. And I appreciate it because everything's gone down, which is a good thing. But it's still, we need to tweak things a little bit. So that's my only comment. And thank you, member, by the way, your comment about your questions on MCE. You're awesome, girl. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. I guess I should have asked you to open the public hearing first before I had him speak.
We'll now open process for public comments, please. Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised, and I don't have any other speaker cards.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Ryan, can we do, what can we do to address the concerns that were just shared with us by the doctor?
Thank you, Board Member. My name is Eric Harrell with NGO. And we have started this process in December, and so we were getting to the end of the year in the fiscal year, so we came to this resolution as far as the budget and the O&M being appropriate. We do plan additional discussions, both with the residents and the subcommittee about ongoing issues. So this isn't a final, it's appropriate for this year, but it's not the final discussions that this, the assessments and the apportionment of these assessments will happen, so.
Councilman Tim, please.
Yeah, thank you. Didn't we do this 2 weeks ago? And we went.
So the first process was the notice of intent to set the public hearing for today and preliminary approval. So with tonight's action, it's the final adoption and allows us to submit to the property tax rolls to the county so that the assessment can go in place for fiscal year 22-23.
Right. No, I understand the mechanism. What I'm talking about is, I don't know if the doctor was here, is we went through how we got to where we wanted to be, and we actually had speakers, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. I don't remember, though. Were you here 2 weeks ago, sir? I was not. Okay. Because I know we went back and forth, and I don't want to give you short shrift, but these numbers were talked about, and I actually think this went on for some amount of time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Just understanding.
That was when the letter came out for this public hearing, and then it had the assessments. Got my attention.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't new to you. It kind of sounds like it is, but we went through the numbers.
I was out of town.
Okay, I get it. So anyway, to cut it short, there's still going to be follow-up. These numbers can be massaged going forward.
That's correct. We could annually we'll be evaluating the budget, so this is going to be brought back for board consideration for fiscal year 23.
We'll have a lot more attention. We'll have a lot more attention on it going forward than we have for the last 10 years. Okay, fair enough. That's what I wanted. All right, thank you very much.
Any other comments, colleagues? Yeah.
Roxanne Bradley, I guess can you?
Yeah, come forward, please.
From Rolling Hills. I've lived in this community with my husband, and I apologize if this has already been asked, but I received a notification through our Rolling Hills network asking us to come out because there's an issue in regards to the LMD about Hillborn and those areas being included. So has that been addressed already?
Yep,
or
ma'am.
I apologize if I'm.
No, that's all right. So this is a different item on the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. No problem. Yep. So we'll have another public hearing in just a few minutes. Item 18 is the topic you're looking for. All right. And we'll be happy to take your comments then. All right.
I know I know the feeling.
And Madam Clerk, we don't have any more speakers on this item, do we?
I do not, and there are no
I
hands
will
raised.
close the public hearing and bring it back for council action, please. Entertain a motion to approve. It's been Councilwoman Panduro. Second, please. Councilwoman Bertani, please. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And we'll now reconvene the meeting of the City Council. We go to the consent calendar, please.
Yes, the regular consent calendar now. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the City Council or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item.
And you don't,
Oh, sorry, I do.
I thought you did say.
Item 15, I have Rick Johnson. And the rest of my speaker cards are for item 18, which is not on consent. Oh. Sorry about that, Rick.
Not a problem. We're all flexible. Good evening. Consultation services. NBS was contracted to do the work that the city is fully capable of doing. The residents each year pay for services such as maintenance, water, electricity, management, oversight for our district. The management oversight, we are paying $70,000 a year. NBS is an additional $80,000 that was voted on by this body. There was no discussion with the people. I'm sure we had a chance, but we did not take it. So $80,000 has been added to our expenses for this year. I've been working with NBS Civic Mike since the beginning of this project, prior to their being announced, and I don't believe this is money well spent. What I am suggesting is that resident involvement needs to increase dramatically, and I hear that from you guys that it's important for you, it's very important for us. In the past, the city established the Residential Landscape and Maintenance District Review Committee, comprised of residents. This committee appears to have been in operation for less than 2 years, and to my understanding, very few of the recommendations they had were actually implemented. If we could have the committee back in place, they would have caught the underfunding expense in 2017 when it was financially obvious at that point. I'm asking you to reinstate the committee, staffing it with at least 10 residents, provide them with oversight and interaction duties, and interact with the public works throughout the landscape districts. Residents have a vested interest in the best possible choices to be made. This is our neighborhood. We have people that will volunteer, as you will hear shortly. I truly believe that this committee had been in place, we would not have had the failures we had. The failures that we had start with, within District 11, there are 12 homes that have never been included. We have one golf course that has never been included. It is 4 parcels. One of the parcels pays $14,000 in county taxes. None of them are landscape. Failure to recognize the budget shortfall. In 2017, expenses rose beyond the income and were not detected. Annual engineer reports have been created for each of the districts, failing to identify those benefits considered general versus specific. And Proposition 218 with Article 13 specifically in writing and in spirit wants people to pay for those things that they benefit for. And we are not in compliance with this at all. And it should have been from the beginning, and it is not. So the failures are just too extensive that have taken place. I'm almost out of time. Failure to follow the guidelines of Proposition 218, Article 13D in spirit. Please understand, we want to pay the right amount of money, but we do not want to pay for anything that we should not be paying for. Others are going to be speaking tonight about the money that they have spent on those things that they should never have paid. So please be attentive. I support them, and I am happy to see so many people are getting involved in a positive way. This is all good stuff. We all want the best city that we can live in, but we do want to have participation, and we are willing to volunteer our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes. Councilman Tim, please.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I understand about the 218, and we'll talk about that, but are you objecting to the city hiring a management consultant?
In this case, I am. I find the quality of the individuals that we're working with are fairly new. I don't see any 10 or 20-year experience that they claim. We had a working group meeting, Zoom meeting, the first one. The moderator never had control of it, never drew it together, allowed it to be a session that was not totally productive.
So your objection is then to the firm that staff wants to hire?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Bertani, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Rick. At our meeting earlier this year, I discussed the propriety of forming an LLMD community oversight committee. I don't think that we ever got that on an agenda. So I'm going to agree with Rick that we need to do that, because I think that we need to do something different if we expect different results to occur. And we missed this. We did. So we need to do something different. And I think that, and I've met with a number of residents, we have some very talented, knowledgeable people in this area, in this room, willing to volunteer for free. I mean, so I think that it would be a great idea. I don't know procedurally how we have to do this, but I want to again make a request that we, as a city council, appoint an LLMD oversight committee and let our residents help us, because I think we need the help. So procedurally.
Yeah, council previously requested that, and so we have that lined up for August to bring back what we said at the time is we'd bring back options. Is it one board that oversees all LLMDs? Is it a board for each LLMD? And so staff's been working on that.
Okay.
And we'll be coming back at the August meeting with those options.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, since there was a speaker who spoke on a consent matter, we would recommend that be pulled when you vote on consent matters and be considered separately.
Okay, we'll take that one separately. Okay, thank you. Okay. Councilman Tim, please.
And Mayor, I guess my question now will be to Public Works, because what the speaker was talking about is how good is this consulting firm, and do we need a consulting firm? Obviously, I know the answer to that, because we certainly don't have the staff, but can you speak to the qualifications of this firm, please?
Absolutely. Chris Lewis, Management Analyst with the Department of Public Works. So NBS does have over 20 years experience, particularly in the field of special financing districts. The group that Mr. Johnson has had an opportunity to work with thus far is on the community engagement side. Now that division is called Civic Mike. They are fairly new, I would say within the last couple years. But the director and program project manager that is working with our city does have, I believe she has also 20 years experience working directly with special financing districts on the engineering analysis side. So NBS saw a need to form a community engagement division, and so that's why they created Civic Mike. I would say that we definitely do need, we do not have the staff resources to be able to provide the attention that this matter does need. We also don't have anybody on staff that has specific engineering analysis, an assessment engineer on staff to be able to provide this very specialized and technical work. So as far as the community engagement piece, we could, augment our staff, but of course that would take time that at this point we don't have to bring new members on board. So a consulting firm is the best option for us at this point.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilman Moy, please.
Thank you. Did we put this out to bid, or how do we come up with this is the best one?
So in accordance with our procurement policy, all professional consulting services. Okay. Yes, so.
Yeah, but again, how do we find that this is the best consultant?
We did have multiple interviews. We did interview one consultant that we're currently working with on other pieces with our districts. But NBS did prove to be the most qualified through not only their experience, their work with the city of Sassoon, city of Vacaville, Oxnard, other cities outside of California, but also the team that they provided, not only on the engineering analysis side, but the community engagement side, that are all under one umbrella and they can work collaboratively, quickly. So that is how they were selected.
Thank you.
Any other comments, colleagues? We turn then to item number 15, please. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Did we vote on the regular consent calendar yet, or?
Yeah, you guys, per city attorney, I think the recommendation was pull 15 separately, so if you
And
want to
we'll
take
vote on
15.
that first? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to take 15 first and then the rest of the consent calendar,
Okay.
or vice versa.
You can do it in either order.
Okay, let me read item 15 then. Resolution 2022-178 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield authorizing the city manager to execute a consultant services agreement with NBS Government Finance Group for assessment engineering services for 6 landscaping and lighting maintenance districts, and Resolution 2022-179 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield authorizing the city manager to execute the First Amendment to the consultant services agreement with NBS Government Finance Group for special district community engagement services.
Any comments or questions?
No, and Mayor, with the caveat from the speaker, I'll make a motion then to approve.
Okay, been moved by Councilman Tim. Is there a second, please? Councilman Moy? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Wait, no, I vote no.
Oh, you voted no? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to vote no on this, and not because I think that, I know that that our staff cannot handle this. I don't believe that this vendor is the right one for this job. So to that extent, I'm voting no.
Okay, so the motion is approved 5-1. Okay, thank you very much. And we turn now to our next item, please.
And now we have to vote on the regular consent calendar, correct?
Yes. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Been moved by Councilman Moy. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Bertani. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We turn to public hearings now.
Thank you. Item 18, public hearings and resolutions 2022-182 through 2022-197 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 engineers reports, confirming the fiscal year 2022-2023 diagrams and assessments, and ordering the fiscal year 2022-2023 improvements for landscaping and lighting maintenance districts number 1, Gateway, number 3, Waterman Highlands, number 5, Smith Ranch, number 6, Pepper Tree, number 7, Rolling Hills, number 8, Colib Estates, number 10, Southbrook, number 11, Paradise Valley North, number 12, Downtown Business District, number 13, North Cordelia, number 14, Woodlake, number 15, Goldridge, number 16, Creekside at Cordelia, number 17, Chadbourne Beck Cordelia, number 18, Goldridge Park, and number 19, Corporate Commons. And again, our presenter is Chris Lewis, our Public Works Management Analyst.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. On July 5th, Council adopted resolutions 2022-156 through 2022-171 to begin the process to levy the fiscal year 22-23 annual assessments in the city's 16 landscaping and lighting maintenance districts. The final step in this process is to hold a public hearing and adopt the resolutions before you, which will grant final approval of the fiscal year 22-23 engineers reports, assessments, and budgets for all of the districts. As this process is fairly routine and I don't have any new information to provide you since the July 5th notice of intent meeting, I don't really have a lengthy presentation for you tonight, but I would like to note that there are no proposed changes to the maximum assessment rates for any districts this year. Also, the proposed engineers' reports are essentially identical to in form and content to what Council has seen and approved in previous fiscal years. And that is because the city is still in the beginning stages of the community engagement process, data gathering, and the engineering analysis we have for all the Prop 218, the Prop 218 process we are going through during this next year. This slide here shows a very high level and a very rough overview of the Prop 218 timeline and process. And you'll notice that there's quite a bit of overlap between, for each objective between May 2022 to about January, February of 2023, since we basically have two teams working collaboratively but on different tracks. We have the community engagement track and we have the engineering analysis track. For 9 of the LLMDs that require the Prop 218 vote this year. So naturally, not all districts will be on the exact same timeline to the day or even to the week, and we'll even be adjusting a lot of the time, moving it either to the left or the right. Some of the objectives you see there in the middle, and that's just dependent on each district's needs or the feedback we're getting from the community. But eventually, all of this work will start to align in March of 2023 when NBS finalizes the 23-24 engineers reports. In April 2023, we will send out the ballots to the property owners with final approval for the new assessments and scope of work and engineers reports happening in June of 2023. I just wanted to clarify this timeline a little bit to let everybody know that we still have, we're still in the beginning stages of this process. Where we're at right now is represented by those green dots way there on the left. And so we still have about an entire year and a lot of work to do before we get to that final stage of adopting the new engineers reports and assessing the new amounts and implementing the new scopes of work that we will be working with the residents to define. All of that will take place, will take effect in fiscal year 23-24. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation and ask that council hold the public hearings and adopt the resolutions approving the engineers reports, confirming the diagrams and assessments, and ordering the improvements for fiscal year 22-23 for all 16 landscaping and lighting maintenance districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for Chris before I open the public hearing? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests
Yes,
to
we
speak
have,
cards?
I believe, six people that would like to speak. Our first speaker will be Barbara Pascone, to be followed by June Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm in total agreement with Rick Johnson, who spoke earlier, because for the past 25 years, the city has never assessed Rolling Hills District Number 7 or conducted annual engineering reports to comply with Proposition 218. And I don't understand why this city is now complying or wanting to comply with Proposition 18. They violated Articles 13C and 13D of the California Constitution. They've also violated Government Code Section 53739 and Section 53750 to 53756. Therefore, you cannot approve our district's engineering report this evening until you levy the assessments under Proposition 218, Articles 13C and 13D. That means the city has never even passed a resolution to adopt Proposition 218. They have never adopted any procedures for the engineer's report, for anything under Proposition 218. In a City Council report agenda dated June 4th, 2019, the city stated that they do not have to comply with Proposition 218 because assessments may be adjusted within an acquired range. However, there are no ranges that were adopted by the city. And specifically, they had to be adopted under Section Code 53739 of the California Constitution, and they were never, ever done. The city never complied with the laws governing Proposition 218, which applied to our district and all the other maintenance districts when they first increased our assessment in 1997. That is when they should have applied Proposition 18, and it was never done. So I don't understand why city staff has been so lax in giving the information to Public Works and whoever else needs to have it. And we are paying now over $700,000, plus we're saddled with a city loan that we had to take out when we have been overcharged for 25 years. The city has never separated the general benefits from special benefits under Proposition 218. And I think that they need to do that and go back and take a look at what has happened. Because this has been very unfair to all the property owners. And I'm out of time, but I do have a lot more to say.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Next speaker is June Johnson, to be followed by Les Johnson.
Chris, the first thing I would say is, now that you've approved the contract with MDS again, if they have 20 years of experience, they need to send that to our meetings, because it's really lacking. And it's very frustrating to meet over and over again and not be able to get the answers that we need. And it's been frustrating. And so I want to tell you all, we're here because we care. We care about our neighborhood. We care about what's happening at Rolling Hills. It's been deteriorated to the point where it's so sad. I walk every day and walking Hillborn and seeing that dry grass and seeing weeds, no kidding, that are this high. I have probably 50 pictures. I literally probably have 50 pictures in my phone for two reasons: to educate you and to educate our community when we get to the point where we need to vote on whether or not there's going to be increases. So I want you to know that although this is a very heated topic, it's because we care. We care. We want to be part of the process. Thank you, Pam, for bringing it up again, because you have a lot of talented people here, and you have a lot of people that really care and want to work with the city to fix the problems that we are facing. So on behalf of Rolling Hills Neighborhood Network, many of my neighbors that are here tonight, many of my neighbors that could not make it here tonight but have called me, we want to say that we object to the engineer's report because we do not believe it complies with Article 13D of the state constitution. However, if you not voting on this tonight is going to impact our landscaping and lighting even worse, I'm very concerned about that, because we can't afford to have our neighborhood deteriorate any worse than it already has. Thank you.
Next speaker, Les Johnson, to be followed by David Renaud.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Les Johnson. I've been a Fairfield resident for 45 years. I've been a resident living in Rolling Hills for 30 years. And tonight I wanted to focus on Hillborn Road. Because of the landscaping has come to the surface, our neighborhood network has had several meetings on it, and I was surprised to learn that I've been paying to maintain Hillborn Road. It just doesn't make sense that Hillborn, which is a city artery, be included in my landscape costs. I also use Manual Campus and I-80, and they're not included in my property tax. I have a couple questions. Maybe you could find the answers for me. In my 30 years at Rolling Hills, I've witnessed no fewer than 12 accidents on Hillborn that crashed through the median and took out trees and shrubs. I suspect that I pay for the cleanup, replacement of shrubs and trees. And my question is, do the automobile insurance companies compensate the city for that damage? And number two, if the city does get compensated for that damage, does that turn into a benefit for my fund on the landscaping? That's my only comment. Thanks.
Thank you. The next speaker is David Renaud, to be followed by David Thacker.
Good evening, council and staff. Thank you. And I will echo June Johnson's remarks that we are all here, council and residents, because we do care about Fairfield quite a bit. I've been a Rolling Hills resident for 25 years, and Chris just brought up the fact that the intent is to go through the 218 process for 23-24, and that's all well and good, and that would help separate out, I think, what we are talking about, Hillborn Road and the other major thoroughfares, Lyons and Martin. And that would come out when we discuss general and special benefits. For the past 25 years, the city has adopted annual engineering reports for LLMDs that do not comply with Proposition 218, Articles 13C and D of California Constitution. If you approve this engineering report tonight, you will again be violating those laws. With the passage of Prop 218 in 1996, all California cities were mandated by constitutional amendments to prepare for the fiscal impacts of the new law. Beginning in July 1997, the city was required to bring all existing, new, or increased assessments into compliance. In your agenda report this evening, it says that, quote, annual assessment amounts for each district are subject to the provisions of Proposition 218 and must be set at or below amounts that were adopted when the district was formed, unquote. But there is no documentation that exists showing the city ever adopted any maximum amounts or assessment ranges. And we're talking about $300 and $250 in the case of LLMD number 7. There are no public documents to back this up. For our LLMD number 7, the city knowingly spent through reserves starting in 2016 to the present, and then without warning drastically cut services to our landscaping in common areas. We were notified with a postcard. We could have all been actively working on a solution for the past decade. Residents like Joe Bisbee and David Thacker have spoken up over the years, but nothing was done. Since receiving the postcard many months ago, one of our new homeowners, Barbara Pascone, who you've heard from earlier, has been researching the public record and the law. Fairfield never enacted the requirements of Prop 218 as mandated by the Constitution in 1997, and that has resulted, as she said, in 25 years of overcharges. Worse yet, we are now saddled with a $410,000 loan just to hold us over and a Civic Mike bill of $80,000. As for this report, we are disappointed that it is a boilerplate copy of previous years. It's a flawed report that still holds us responsible for the major roadways we've been talking about. And this report, again, does not separate special and general benefits as required by law. The city engineer was challenged on this at our April 21st, 2022 Rolling Hills Town Hall meeting held at the Hillborn Realty office. He had no answers, and we have seen no course correction so far.
David, would you conclude, please?
Fairfield citizens pay their taxes, and in good faith, we depend on the city to act responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
We have another, were you David Thacker or, no, oh, sorry. Next is David Thacker. Sorry, too many Davids. And then our next speaker will be Roxanne Bradley.
Well, Council, 2 weeks ago I was here and I told you exactly what you just heard from all the members of the community. If you forward this issue to the county auditor to extract money through the taxation process, you're breaking the law, pure and simple. You just heard Chris Lewis say that there is no assessment engineer on staff, didn't she? She just said there is no assessment engineer on staff, yet you have an engineer's report for all of these different LLMDs. Who were they done by? Not an engineer on staff for assessment purposes. It's a big job to do what they're supposed to do, but the fact is, nobody did it. The city attorney, there's only 3 scenarios here. The city attorney is either inept and has therefore misinformed this council, or the city attorney has withheld legal information from this council, or the city attorney has advised you factually that the engineer's report is deficient under California Constitution Article 13D. Which is it? It has to be one. Because if you vote yes on this issue, you will be breaking the oath that you took when you took the office. So I'm asking for a separate vote on LLMD number 7, as I did 2 weeks ago, because we know what is in our report. And we understand from other people that have spoken here tonight that perhaps Paradise Valley isn't likely the same. And you are really asking for a huge, huge lawsuit. And we're serious. And so if you want to perfect this issue through the court system, go ahead and vote yes. And the other people have been very nice, but you know me, I've been here before. I was here in 2019 when I told you about this. 3 years ago, I told you the same thing that all these people just talked to you about. 3 years ago, what did we get? Nothing. All we get is people reaching in our pocket and taking our wallets out, taking what they want with no legal justification. Yes, Mayor, there's 20 seconds left. It's painful, I know. You don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you the truth, and so do these other people. You have to vote no on LLMD number 7. Be happy to answer any questions at any time. I've studied this a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next speaker is Roxanne Bradley, to be followed by Rick Johnson. And I do have one hand raised on Zoom.
I want to respectfully apologize for interrupting earlier in regards to, I thought we had missed our opportunity. But I just, as a resident and homeowner since 1998 in the Rolling Hills area, I too have seen the slow decline in the area in regards to the landscaping. And then when this issue came out, it seemed like it came out very quickly. It was like it just rushed upon us. So I felt like we were being hoodwinked, like we really didn't have a say-so. But after hearing what has been said today from our Rolling Hills neighborhood, I stand with you because we take great pride in that neighborhood. We take care of it, and whatever interim the Public Works Department is doing, you need to send your folks out there. Because I look across my street and my neighbor who takes care of her lawn, but then the sidewalk that's between the corner and the street, they must have came in, but they just cut the bush down so that it was level with the ivy that was there. They didn't pull those weeds up. So it's just going to come back. So please, I'm sorry, I didn't know your name. Mr. Thacker, I hope we don't have to go that route. It seems like we have intelligent people on this council. We have a mayor, we have an interim city manager, Ms. Lewis. We can work and get this done properly so it's in the best interest of our Rolling Hills residents who pay your salary, I'm pretty sure, in some form of that.
Thank you.
Okay, Rick Johnson.
The LLMD loans that we started talking about back in March, and I stood up here and said, no, don't do it. Make sure we'll get the new 218 before we do it. We did those efforts. Thank you again for taking time to listen to the people and for the people to express their desire to get a new 218 compliant district. We were told then in March, we didn't vote on it. On May, we voted and approved it, and we were told that the reserve of the funds would be available and that services could be restored. They weren't restored. They were delayed, and last week we were informed that full services will not be restored until October at the soonest. We were notified by Civic Mike through their system that they don't have the services to be able to do it. This appears to be a problem with negotiations between Public Works and the contractors. In other words, monies were going to be available, and the discussions took place in probably January, February, March, with contractors saying, hey, we're going to get money. Can you do the work? I got to believe the answer was yes, because that's what we were told in various meetings, that they would, in fact, be able to restore. And I know Public Works cannot make everything happen. They're not super people. They are wonderful people, but they're not super people. And their contractor is not able to provide the services that they have told us that we're going to get. So as June Johnson was describing the horrible things that were going on, it's going to be October. They may be able to do some emergency things. I know they will. They definitely prioritize triage, but our services are not going to be restored until October. And that's further disheartening because that's just communication, that's negotiation. Separately, I had a conversation with one of the new image supervisors on my street. They were doing some work. And I said, hey, how soon can we see things get back to normal? And they said, this is 2 weeks ago, we got the people, we can do it. Now, that person may not be empowered at all to make that kind of a statement, and this is totally off the books, but that's a conversation that a contractor had with a homeowner. So that information's out there. So please help us. This problem is multi-layered, and I think you guys are getting a real good feel for it. I know Public Works does, and if they need to have more people, then I need to pay more taxes so that they can have the people to do the jobs correctly. And it's your guys' job to reach out to us, encourage us, and to convince us why they need to do it. Measure P went through, money came. Money can be brought when it's needed and when it is supported. And I'm ready to pay, but I have to have trust in the people that I'm giving it to, and that needs to be restored.
Thank you, Rick.
And we have one hand raised online.
Okay, we have Shakar Misra. Okay, Shakar, you're on.
Okay. I would like to know what are the characteristics of Ilban Road or Martin Road which are different from Rancho Solano Parkway that make it a specific purpose thing and not a general purpose.
Sir, could you repeat that? I couldn't understand you. I'm sorry.
I would like to know what are the characteristics of the Hillbond Road which are different from the characteristics of the Rancho Solano Parkway, which make Hillbond more of we have to pay for it, and Rancho Solano Parkway does not have to be paid for by the residents.
Thank you.
Yes, hello, this is Chris Lewis with Public Works. So that is not anything that staff would necessarily be able to determine right now, and that's exactly why we've hired NBS, because they do have the specific expertise to determine what the improvements are, and in terms of their location, what parcels they're servicing. These engineers look at things like traffic counts, trip generation reports, and they consolidate all of this information to create that special versus general benefit analysis that you're talking about. So it's not anything that I can identify at the moment. It is something that we'll need a little bit more time and have NBS officially do for us.
And in the last 4 months, they have not had a chance to do that.
I'm sorry?
In the last 4 months, they've not had a chance to do that.
No, during the last 4 months, we've actually just recently started gathering data for this district. This typically takes a few months to do, but for Rolling Hills, we just started gathering the data to be able to determine the special versus general benefit in that area.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, so just for a point of clarification, is the resident saying that in Rolling Hills, we pay for Hillborn, but in Rancho Solano, the Rancho Solano residents don't pay for Rancho Solano Parkway? Please don't tell me that's the case. Is that true?
I will have to clarify that point. I do believe that Rancho Solano Parkway is maintained, at least in some portion, by the district.
Wow.
I will have to confirm that.
So we're all paying for Rancho Solano Parkway, but only Rolling Hills is paying for Hillborn? Is that, do we
Would you mind
know the
saying that again?
answer to that question?
I don't have the answer.
Mr. Mayor, this is David Lim, the city attorney, on Zoom.
Okay, David, go ahead.
May I speak, please?
Yes, please.
So I do feel compelled to advise council at this time, based on public comments made and emails received from the city, that pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, on advice of legal counsel, I'm advising the city council at this time that they may want to take any discussion regarding Rolling Hills Maintenance District Number 7 in closed session to confer with or receive advice from the city attorney or legal counsel of your choosing regarding pending litigation, given that pursuant to Section E4 of that chapter, a statement made by a person in an open and public meeting threatening litigation on a specific matter within the responsibility of the city council is considered pending litigation. And you've heard this evening from Mr. Thacker a statement that, quote, the city is asking for a lawsuit. So I do feel compelled as your city attorney to notify you that there is a threat of pending litigation, and any discussions you have in the public arena on this matter could be used against the city if a lawsuit were to be filed. It's entirely up to you to decide if you want to go into closed session on this matter at some point, but under the government code, I do feel compelled to notify you of that. I will also state, I think, my previous comment from July 5th, in anticipation of the council's questions to the city attorney. We are aware of the binder that we believe was provided by Mr. Thacker to the city council last week from Ms. Johnson and the Rolling Hills neighborhood. We've had our staff, including our specialist on special districts, review the binder and the allegations raised by Mr. Thacker, as well as allegations raised by him previously in 2019 to then City Attorney Mr. Greg Stepanovich. And at this time, the City Attorney's Office does not feel that the binder raises any points that cause us to recommend that we stop any part of this process currently recommended to you by staff. But at this point, if you ask us any more specific questions, we will ask to confirm for you whether or not you want to take those more specific questions in closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Yeah. Councilwoman Moy, please.
So, Mr. City Attorney Lim, could you tell me that you've said that you're comfortable, last time, that you're comfortable with us voting on this? I chose to vote no on 7. Are you saying that it's absolutely constitutionally legal, or that you're comfortable? I need more direct answer.
I'm going to thank you for the question, council member. Again, I'm going to advise it is a recommendation of the city attorney that we take that question and we provide that answer to you in closed session. We can go into closed session now if you want. But again, I want to advise you that is our advice. If you're asking me to answer that question in open session, I will do so at this time.
You just gave this. The other question that I had, Mr. City Attorney Lim, is you said only District 7. So are you saying that the others were free to vote on tonight?
As to that question, I only was addressing the threat of litigation as to Rolling Hills District Number 7, because that's been the crux of this conversation. That would be Resolution 2022-186. And the binder that we received and reviewed related only to Rolling Hills District Number 7. So yes, that's correct.
Okay, I think I understand you now. As far as this binder, I did not receive it, nor did I receive a copy of it. So I will need to get a copy of that from whoever has it so I could look at it, because I feel like I'm out of the loop here.
Okay, and just for clarification, I mentioned it was a binder, and I apologize. We did have it scanned and sent electronically to all members of the City Council, and it has been made a part of the public record for this meeting, and it's available to the public. So I apologize, I called it a binder, but it was scanned to you
Okay, all right.
I believe last week.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
I have a question, City Attorney Lim. I'm not sure if you can answer this, but if the city council takes your advice and goes into closed session regarding LLMD Rolling Hills District 7, would that in any way impair the services that were being provided? Would that make bad service even worse if we go into closed session about this at a later date?
So I'll defer to Ms. Lewis on the timing of when these need to be approved. Procedurally, the closed session could take place at any time. So right now, the council could decide to go into closed session. That would require you to clear the council chambers and meet in closed session with myself and Ms. Liu. We could then answer any questions you had regarding district number 7. We could then reconvene into open session, at which time you could take whatever action you deem appropriate. Of course, another course you could take is to move to continue Resolution 2022-186 to another date.
No, we get that. We get that. My question is about the provision of services if we choose to go into a session at a later date, because who up here has read this binder? None of us. This was just on the dais today. So, I mean, a closed session tonight, I don't think makes any sense at all, because what we really need to do is read what the people have provided. All right, so let me just get, before we go on, let me just get an answer to the specific question that I asked. If we go into closed session at a later date on Rolling Hills District 7, will that in any way impair the services that we're already lacking, but will that make it even worse? Will that impair the services that we're provided in our neighborhoods?
So I'll jump in on that.
Thank you.
The deadline to submit to the assessor's office is August 10th. So for District 7, if council wanted to schedule a special meeting to go into closed session to hear the advice of legal counsel, you could do that and then still hold a public hearing. I don't know what the noticing timeline requirements are, or if it would just be a postponed public hearing or a continued public hearing until a later date. You could then have a special closed session and then come back into an open public hearing for consideration, so long as we would be able to then, any action council takes, submit to the assessor's roll by August 10th. If we don't submit, then there will be no collection, and that would impair services that would be provided from the assessment that is currently collected and that is proposed for this next year.
Okay, so no matter what we do, as long as we have this into the county assessor by August the 12th, our services,
The 10th.
I'm sorry, August the 10th, our services will remain at the level at which we're receiving them now.
If an assessment is approved to levy on the rolls.
By August 10th.
Correct.
Okay, and so thank you, that's an answer to that. So, and then my second question is, who prepared the engineer's report? Did an engineer prepare the engineer's report?
It is prepared by staff and reviewed by our city engineer, yes, and signed off and approved by our city engineer.
So our city engineer prepared the report?
Yes, I mean, yes, technically it's staff
No,
under the
but
direction.
I'm asking you, who actually prepared the report? Did an engineer prepare this report? I'm just asking.
This particular, no.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Just a
I
point
don't
of
know how we can clarify.
Yeah,
that,
no, point of clarification is, so that engineer's report is, as Chris alluded to, we haven't taken a comprehensive look at the engineer's report to look at make any significant changes. That work will be completed with NBS. So for this fiscal year, we haven't done any changes to any analysis. But yes, I have reviewed that report, and I have the findings.
And I don't want to belabor the point. My question is very specific. This is called an engineer's report. Did an engineer prepare the report? I understand that you reviewed it, but did engineers prepare this report?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's two different answers.
It was prepared by an engineer. That's an accurate statement.
I'm doing administrative work, and I guess that's how we can clarify that.
Wow.
Yes.
Back to the microphone, please.
So through.
I'm just saying that I just got two different answers from two different people on one simple question, which is whether an engineer prepared this engineer report. When I heard Mr. Thacker in his presentation mention that lit my ears up. I mean, what can I say? Like, if this is an engineer's report that's not prepared by engineers, then it's, I guess, not what it's purporting to be. Which is, and then I just got two different answers from you guys. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot. We just need to know the truth, and we know what we're dealing with. And my question stands. Did an engineer prepare this report?
Sure, council member, just to provide a little bit of clarification.
But can you just answer that question?
So the report was overseen.
But it wasn't prepared by an engineer? Is that right?
An engineer approved the report.
Which is consistent with how engineers review and approve documents of all types. So a report such as this, or engineering drawings, for example, are done in the same way, prepared under the supervision or under the oversight of an engineer, and that's the case here. So that's standard practice in engineering, and that's what the board that oversees engineering licenses allows for.
So the answer to my question is no. Is that right?
An engineer did not directly prepare this report.
Okay, you can stop right there. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yep. Councilman.
Yeah, thank you. Hang on, folks, please. This is to Mr. Lim. Mr. Lim, have you looked at the binder or the information that Mr. Thacker has given you?
I've reviewed it, yes. I should state that for this purpose, because of the complexity of the whole Prop 218 procedure and landscape and lighting maintenance districts, we had one of our specialists in our firm, Ms. Robin Harris, who has over 30 years experience with special district formation and maintenance, review this binder. So I was not the expert eye that looked at it, but as your city attorney, I did review the entire binder. I went through it with Ms. Harris, but in terms of the person who did the analysis that led to the city attorney's conclusion, it was Ms. Harris and not me.
Okay, and when I say the city attorney, I know you have different specialties. Did the person that looked at this give a legal opinion? Because when Mr. Thacker and several speakers got up, they said we violated, I don't know, Chapter 13 or whatever. I'm not an attorney, so I go to you. You're an attorney. Do you have enough information, or does your associate have enough information to give a legal opinion? Did the city violate, or can the city defend? Oh, no, I don't want to say that. Did you have a legal opinion that the city would be correct if they voted in affirmative for this? That's all I want to know.
So we do have a legal opinion. I apologize, council member, if I'm splitting hairs. I think what we're comfortable saying in open session at this point is that based on Ms. Harris's review of the binder from Mr. Thacker or whoever prepared it, because there was no attribution or name of authorship in the binder. And for the record, it was a green binder delivered to the city manager's office. We had it scanned and delivered to the city council last week for review. But based on Ms. Harris's review of the binder from Mr. Thacker and then reviewed by me, the city attorney's office does not feel the binder raises any points that cause the city attorney to recommend that we stop any part of the process currently recommended to you by staff. As to the more specific question you asked as to whether we would prevail or whether certain of the constitutional questions are valid or have any merit, we would again advise the city council to take those matters and ask those questions to the city attorney in closed session, because we have been threatened with litigation and we don't feel it's prudent to divulge our legal strategy in open session for the protection of the entire city. However, having said that, I want to make clear that if any member of the council directs me to answer that question after the advice I've given, you are my client, so I'll answer the question.
No, that's why I kind of stopped, because I realized Mr. Mayor, it's very clear to me that we probably need to have a pretty deep discussion in closed session. Time is of the essence. Hang on one sec, June. I believe, people follow the science. We have an attorney for a reason. And if there is threatened litigation, I think that it's our responsibility. We need to discuss this in closed session.
And I concur with you, Councilman Tim. I think it's very prudent for us to operate from a factual background.
And I don't disagree with what anybody in here has said about how the maintenance has gone down and the city blew it. I think we've said all along that it wasn't our shining moment, and it hasn't been for several years. We are now obviously very well aware of the problem and the issue and going forward. So in hiring a consultant, which gives you the information so we can make a factual decision based next year, I certainly understand that. But I think we need to finish up what we're going to do now and either go into closed session now, because August 10th is going to be here before you know it. We have a lot of other things to do. So, I'd leave it up to my colleagues, but they deserve an answer. And we deserve an answer. And June,
come on up to the microphone,
step
please.
up there, June.
I just want to clarify the author of the binder. It's Rolling Hills residents that created that binder.
Okay, I have a question. Is this what this is? Step up. I don't bite.
Yeah, well, the problem is, it was yes.
Okay.
So this is a binder that we residents took upon ourselves to investigate the process, to be sure that the process was being followed. Again, it's because we care. We care about what's happening.
Oh, no,
but it's important that David Thacker, and bless his heart, he has done a lot of the work here.
Right.
But I want to make it clear that it's the Rolling Hills residents that have created this binder that we have shared with you. Yes?
I have a question for you. Oops, sorry, I'm sorry.
No, thank you. What I was going to say is, like I said, I'm not an attorney, and this is quarter inch, half inch, and I want to make sure that our city attorney has seen this, and then I have very specific questions, as I'm sure my colleagues do for him.
Of course.
And then we can get back to you. This won't be settled tonight, but it looks like we're on the road to getting settled. Go ahead, Kat. Thank you.
Yep. I'm sorry to interrupt. My question, June, is that you mentioned that this would be a violation of the Constitution. Does Rolling Hills intend as a group to sue the city if we vote on this, not just 7? That's my question.
I can't speak for our board, and I'd have to get an answer from the board.
Okay, thank you.
We want this resolved. That's
We
what
do
we
too,
want.
but we want to make certain it's done properly too.
Absolutely. And the binder that we have presented is primarily public information. It's all records that we have received from the city, so they're facts.
Thank you, June.
I'd like to give a note of clarification.
Step to the mic, sir, please.
Mr. Lim speaks of the binder, whether it's correct or not, and the binder is really not the issue at all. The binder was produced by the Rolling Hills Neighborhood Network to explain the situation to everybody else, but that binder is not the law. Prop 218, which is 13D of the California Constitution, is the law, and that law specifically says there is no getting away from this. You must do these things, and the law is very brief. It's only about 3 pages. The actual law is in that binder. And so Mr. Lim refers to the binder as smoke and mirrors. What really we're concerned about is, what does the law say? And he will not answer that question. At least he's hiding the football right now. Mr. Lim is not willing to tell the group here tonight if they have acted within the law, and that is crazy to me. Thank you.
I've read, the Constitution. I specifically read this again before I came in.
13D?
I sure did. And it's very clear to me. It's clear English. And so I do have a lot of questions because we do swear to uphold that Constitution. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
There are 2 people among us that have really studied this a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more question.
Go ahead, Councilman Tim.
Based on what a mess this is, and then we have other maintenance districts, obviously, would we be smart just to pull this entire thing? Because what I don't want to have happen is we deal with 7 and all of a sudden 11 jumps up, 13 jumps up. I mean, time is time. We're going to spend the same amount of time. But I think it would be smart. We have a legal opinion, obviously. You heard Mr. Lim, and attorneys can agree or disagree on whatever the law says. I'm not an attorney, but I certainly would like to speak with our attorney in closed session because it's the prudent thing to do. But that being said, I guess I would ask either Mr. Lim or our associate city attorney, should we continue to vote on the rest of them or put it off?
I'll defer to Mr. Lim on that.
And I'm going to stand by our previous position that nothing in our analysis of the binder, whoever wrote it, makes us have any concerns moving forward on this process brought to you by staff. But ultimately, the decision is up to you as council on how you want to proceed on this matter.
Okay, all right, so I certainly understand it's not about the binder, it's the information contained in the binder. You say we're doing something illegal, our city attorney says, no, we're doing something legal. So, anyway, I think we would be smart, Mr. Mayor, I would move then to actually pull this entire resolution for all the
Second.
LLMDs and go into closed session.
Yeah,
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, but before we take action, what's the earliest date we can do a closed session, Mr. City Manager?
Well, I think the question before you is, do you want to retire to closed session now for this conversation, or do you want to schedule a special meeting closed session?
And just as a point of comment, well, I don't know how to say it. I don't think Ms. Harris is available. And as I previously stated, I've reviewed it, I've consulted with Ms. Harris, but I am not Ms. Harris, and I would defer to her and ask her to be present at any closed session that we do. And I do apologize for council. I didn't anticipate that we would want to go into closed session tonight. I mean, I do have her cell phone, so if council pushes, I can call her up and ask her to be available. I don't know if she's staffing other meetings for other clients, but I could make that request if that's council's desire, if you want to go into closed session right now.
No, we don't need to.
Councilman Bertani, please.
We don't need to.
I'm going to reiterate that I don't think that it is advisable for us to go into closed session this evening because we haven't read the information. And I think that we'll have a more robust and thoughtful closed session if we've done our homework on this. So that's just my recommendation for closed session tonight. I think it's a bad idea.
Well, the question's on the floor. Chuck, would you agree that we could do it in a special meeting another day?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
I don't care if it's a Saturday, I don't care if it's a Sunday, it
Yeah, we
doesn't
gotta
matter.
get
Whoa.
We got to get it done.
Whoa,
Because-
slow your
because-
roll.
Well, the bottom line is, and you heard Ms. Lewis say, is all funding could stop. And you think it's bad now, so.
We'll be
So
out there
anyway,
with our
Saturday,
weed
Sunday,
whackers.
but no, and I want to make sure that Mr. Lim actually make sure that the council has our attorney there, so.
goats. Right here.
Yes. So Mayor, I think we made the motion, did we vote on it to actually pull it? We haven't voted yet?
We haven't voted yet, no.
All right. I want
Aye.
to catch the city clerk unaware here. I made a motion to pull the entire resolution.
The entire item, 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I have it.
All right.
And then is
Call for the vote.
Pam, I have it. And was it unanimous?
We haven't voted yet.
Call for the vote, Harry. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we discharge the meeting, I just want to have one more thing that we can talk about maybe in closed session, which was brought up earlier by Les, in terms of if there is, automobile accident damage
Right.
done on Hillborn, and there is insurance reimbursement, is that reimbursement credited to Rolling Hills District 7?
So the first half of that question, do we pursue insurance payments? Yes. Whether it's credited, I don't know. I would have to look into that and get
No,
you
we
the
get an
answer.
answer
I just
for
don't
that?
know that off the top of my head.
It better be.
But yes, we'll get an answer to that. And
Thank you.
I know. Mr. City Manager.
Final comments, please.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to
ahead.
ask you, I think everybody else got one of these, but I didn't tonight. I'd like to have one so I could study it, the binder too.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, residents. You're awesome.
It's a tough job, and we appreciate every one of you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are adjourned. Thank
Mr.
you
Mayor,
very
I'm
much.
sorry, real quick procedural point brought up by Ms. Liu, and I apologize. Because that was a public hearing, when you moved to continue the matter or table it, I just want to make sure the council's intention was to continue the public hearing as well, correct?
Yes, we will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being with us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.